Right, everyone, it's time to add some player health. So if I just press play quickly and we'll have a look at the current state of the game. So we've got people running into us. We've got two different enemy types, three different enemy types. Do apologise. We can shoot them. We have a score. But the issue is, if I just stay still, they all just converge on me and just freak out and try and kill me, which is just not possible yet. So we're gonna add some player health today. So what we're going to do is scroll down on our player. So we click our player on the left, scroll down on the right, and we're going to add a new script. So we're going to add a player health script. We're going to create a new script. And we'll just give it a second to load. And we're going to drag it up to the top underneath shooting. Actually, I'm going to drag it above shooting just so it makes more sense to me because it's player, and then you've got the shooting script. It will load slowly, and then mine loaded on the other screen, so I'll drag it back across. So we've got a player health script. Now, like most things in Unity, we like stealing from ourselves. It's a nice way of keep going. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to our enemy script, and we're just going to copy this line, this bit here from 37 to 43, talking about our collision. Okay, so we're going to use the same system. So here we go. We're going to change bullet to enemy, and what we're going to do is we're going to have an error, but it's fine. We're going to scroll up for now. At the top, we're going to do public float player health, and then we're also going to do a public float max health. Okay. Now we can copy the player health and put it down here in this section. Awesome. So now it means when we collide, we'll be minus the health. What I'm going to do is we haven't used many of these previously, but we're going to use a debug.log. And we'll put little speech marks in it, and I'll just put, actually, what we'll do is we'll type in player health. Now, all we've done so far, I'm sorry if we've gone too fast, but all I've done so far is added our player health, a max health, and I've added player health minus when we hit an enemy, which means we'll lose some health. And I'll add a debug that's going to spit out that player health number. Now, I'm also going to just in start say that the player health is going to equal the max health. And all we do with that is we're going to minimize that. And here we can just set the max health to 3. Okay? Now, if I press play, it's not going to work. So, enemies are still spawning in. But nothing's changing there. I'm getting nothing in my log. The reason why is because we don't have a box collider on here. When we look at our enemies, they've got a box collider 2D on it. So we need to add the same thing to R1. So box collider 2D. You have to change the settings. What you can do is you can zoom in on here. You can see this box collider. You can press these little buttons and you can change it. So if you have a bigger player or anything like that, if you want to include the fire point, that's up to you. So you can edit it there and you just click it again to stop that. Okay? So I'm going to save. So I'm going to just Control S with this box collider on. Now if I press play, we'll give it a sec. See, now it's printing out that I'm losing health, okay? And look, I'm getting destroyed here. I'm at minus 10 health. You can see on the right side, it's printing down at the bottom left as well. If I kill these enemies, there we go. So I'm minus 17, I still get hit, minus 19, okay? So it's working, but the issue is we don't really want to go below minus, because that means that we're like losing extra health than we need to lose. So all we're going to do is we are just going to set up a check. So we're going to set up a little check that goes if player health is bigger or is actually smaller or equal to 0, all we're going to do is we're going to make sure the player health equals 0. So once it goes below 0, it will just set it straight to 0 constantly in the update, okay? If we go to 1 or 2, it won't change that, so it won't be smaller or equal to 0. Now, if we give it a go, we'll press play. So, let's see. So we got 2, 1 health, 0 health, and we're going down to -1. So it's slowly destroying me. So I'm still minus in health when I get to that -1. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to change that to if player health is smaller than 0. Let's have a look. I change that. And what I'm going to do afterwards is I'll put another check in where I'm basically saying if it's 0, I will just double check. Here we go. Right, we get stuck at -1, but that's fine, okay? So we've got a -1, and basically that won't happen because what we're going to do now is we are just going to do if player health does equal 0. So we can actually do is smaller or equal to 0 like we did previously. This is where we can set up our def function. And for starter, we'll just do destroy game objects. Okay. So if our health is under 0, we're going to destroy our game objects. Now I'm going to press play. So if we get these enemies coming in, so we took 1 health, damn, 0. Okay. Now what you will see is you'll start getting errors coming in, and that's because these new enemies are spawning in. They don't know where to go because the player's been killed. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to just get rid of this for now. And all we're going to do is we're going to do game object dot set active equals false. So instead of removing it from the game, we're just going to turn it off. So this is basically a way to do it without destroying objects. And it means you'll see it here. Basically, we have this tick box, which means we turn it on and off, as you see. So what we'll do is we'll press play. Wait for them to load in. Take all the health possible, and I go down to 0. I'm set inactive, and the enemies are still spawned in. And if I click on them, they still can't find it because it's not active at the scene. Okay, but we're not destroying it anymore, so we can run the stuff from the player if we wanted to turn it back on. Now, the easiest way to do this is we should set something up in our spawner. So if we go to our spawner script, what we're doing is we keep spawning in enemies. And the issue is when we spawn in new enemies, we're having issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do public game object player. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the line that we had in our enemy where we found. So go to my enemy script. I'm going to copy this line of code, go back to my spawner, and I'm going to add a start function. And that's what I'm going to add. So my start function's there, and I'm basically just finding the tag of the player, and it's being sorted, okay? Now, to make sure we're not spawning new enemies, all we're going to do is we're going to add double land, and that's basically saying if time since last spawn is smaller or equal to spawn rate, and the player dot get component player health, player health is player health smaller than 0. Oh, sorry, player health is bigger than 0. I do apologise. Then we can spawn an enemy. Okay? And that's all we're doing there. And that's basically just us going, hey, let's stop spawning enemies. Okay? Now, I'll press play. And let's have a look. Okay, so stop spawning enemies now. All these enemies will just kind of go to where we last were, but there's no more enemies spawning in, which has fixed it. So we're all good. If we had a zombie kind of game, it kind of makes sense that they'd go to the corpse at the end. If you wanted to change that, we basically would just destroy the enemies in the scene or turn off their scripts. But for now, I think that's quite good. And it means that, so if we turn our player back on, it will die instantly. But you can see they'll move to where the player is afterwards. So we got that working, and that's all good. And what I want to do is I'll just add I'll go into my UI and I'm going to copy and paste my score text. I'll double click it so I can see it, and I'll scroll out. If I move that down, and I'm just going to call this health text for now. And I understand the UI is ugly, but that's something we can change later on. Now, all we're going to do in our player health script, so we're going to load that back up. We're just going to get another reference to using Unity Engine.ui. And if we go to our score system, we can see how we set up our score text. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to player health. And in our update function, I'm going to put this. Now we're going to have to change some of these. So we're going to add a public text reference, which will be health text. And what we'll do is we'll put that in here. And then we'll do player health to string. Now, I also want to just add something to this. So I'm going to put speech marks in and add a plus. And in these speech marks, I'm going to go health, and then colon, and then a space. Now, this means when it prints out, it will print out health equals this amount. Okay, so it's health, colon, plus this amount. So if we go back to our game, unlike the score, which is above, where it's just a number. Oh, I do apologise. I did not set up the UI properly, so let me do that quickly. So I'll drag my health text in. I'll drag my health text in there. Now press play. So I've got health 3 now. And if I lose health, so wait for someone to spawn in, I'll go health 2, health 1, health 0. Okay? So now I've got health working. I've got health working, I've got the spawn, it stops spawns in enemies, I don't have any errors, and it's all working great. And that is basically what we're going to do for now. And now the next time we have another video, the goal is we're going to get some of those art assets in. We're going to implement some art assets, we're going to get them working, we're going to get some characters rotating.